You're listening to A Creative Excuse presented by Hecho a Mano. I'm Frank Rose.
And I'm Cara Duvall. This episode is with Benjamin Muñoz, whose exhibition is on view now through April 28th.
We've been working with Ben since we opened the gallery about 6 years ago. This is a really fun conversation, and we go into our history together and the current exhibition. And we just both showed at the Brooklyn Fine Art Print Fair, where we both presented work. And we also talk a bit about how to navigate the world as an artist in a post-capitalist, late-stage, whatever it's called, society.
Do you want to do that again?
No.
Okay. Up next at Hecho are exhibitions by Kat Koenig and Hilary Lorenz, opening May 2nd.
Thanks for listening.
There's been several times in my life when I've been talking to somebody and they stop me mid-sentence and they're like, stop yelling at me. And I'm like, oh, I really didn't realize I was doing that.
Awesome. So
what's this podcast called?
I don't know.
This is a podcast, right?
I think
What
so.
are we doing here?
You dragged me into a basement.
What am I doing in
I
the
don't know
basement?
what's happening.
You gave me a cookie and you dragged me into the basement.
Yeah, I heard a door lock when we came down. Kind of scared. I have no reception down here.
It's done. I mean, you should have seen this place before we put walls and paint. It looked like a
I've seen it. I saw
Taliban dungeon.
Yeah, I remember when you first got the space and it was empty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I came in, you had just got the keys and we were doing a show on Canyon.
Yeah.
And you came over here for something. And you were like, do you want to go see the new space? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And it was like those other people had like just moved out and you were already moving stuff in. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being like mind blown with how much space you had. Because in Santa Fe, spaces, I mean, that's crazy to have space here. Mm-hmm. There's everything that's built is built and it's over.
Right.
Like, so if you want a bigger space, someone needs to die or leave. You can't like build something new. So like, it was crazy. I came in here and I was just like, oh my God, it keeps going. It's still going.
What's
like,
down
it's
there?
Still going.
What's down
this is a big
basement?
space for Dallas, let alone like Santa Fe. Like this is a huge space. You could, this space is big enough for like a rave or something.
I know. We've talked.
Yeah, you've had quite a few raves. Yeah.
We've talked several times about having like a punk show down in the basement.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That it would. Yeah. With all the creepy like crumbling brick and
You could have like really lowbrow shows in here. You know, just like.
Totally.
Did you go to the?
You could just have you, Ben, screaming.
I could come down here and I could scream as loud as I wanted.
Yeah.
And no one would hear me, which is very unsettling because you locked the door behind me when I came down here.
And gave you a cookie.
Yeah, one cookie. And I think I've eaten too much. I should be rationing this, I think.
I'm feeling the same way about my cookie.
I ate all mine.
Did you go to the metal print show thing in New York?
No, we did not.
I did. We went for a little bit. Because I like Justin a lot, the guy who was in the metal band.
Okay.
He's the master printer at Robert Blackburn. So we met when I was doing that, like when I was printing the work over there and doing the workshop and everything. Anyways, we went over there and they had like a little kind of underground ink slingers print fair thing there, which I really love those.
Yeah.
Because those little, that environment of like the grungy garage, alcohol smelling, places. I forgot to put this in Do Not Disturb. Sorry, I'm gonna just put this in airplane mode because it's gonna keep doing that. Every time I put it on Do Not, like I'll put it in airplane mode and then it's like it starts vibrating and it's like quick before you leave and I'm like I left. When you go to things like that, those like ink slinger event in a bar things, there's always, I think the only way I can describe it is it's a bunch of prints that feel like they were made for that venue and they only get shown there. And I don't know if they're gross. Yeah. And they're just ugly. Yeah. But not like ugly and like they're printed poorly. Like the subject matter and everything is ugly. And they live there and they die there. Nobody wants to touch them outside of that because they're so gross. But occasionally you find like this gem that is like making ugly work that could be
taken out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the first place. That's an environment like that is the first time I saw Julia Kern's work. And it was like a stomach ripped open with like, you know, intestines being pulled out and these like little demons eating it and like pooping in someone's face. And I remember looking at it and just thinking like, this is ugly, but so beautiful. I can't look away. And she continued, because this was like back when she was in grad school. And then she continued to refine it and then like tighten it and the colors, and then it popped and then it like exploded. And so I really like going to stuff like that because you get to look around and you get to see, you know, maybe just the poster that just says the word fuck on it or something. But then you see stuff and you're like, oh, you're really, really onto something. And like the Hancock brothers and stuff like that are like making, I don't know, like this guy who's like got this gross sausage link thing, you know, coming out, and then like there's like cherubs, like you know, doing like it's just weird stuff.
It's weird, but it touches you somehow. Right in the heart.
It's just you can't look
right
away.
In the sausage.
Right, it really tingles my sausage, and I just can't. But I loved it. I was wondering if you wanted that because there's you find people like that are like. We're like, oh, wow, you're good. Like, wow, you're really good.
Well, I think when you have, like, when all of the boundaries are off, you know, and you can just kind of play and do whatever you want, I mean, you get experiments that fail and experiments that really succeed, you know? I mean, and I think having an environment like that where it's safe to just, like, not worry about reception and just play, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, we really need those kinds of spaces. I've always felt like that DIY spaces are like a sort of barometer of the health of an art scene. You know, the more room there is for things like that, I feel like the healthier an art scene is. Yeah. You know?
I like that they did that and included it in the programming.
Yeah.
Because then you can go from like the fair where you have like two palms, right? Like this huge New York gallery. And then in the same programming, you go over there and then you have the member booth there from like Robert Blackburn. Hoofprint was there. You know, people that were just bringing the weird. Yeah. Which is why I fell in love with printmaking.
Yeah.
Because before that, my only gauge of printmaking was in an academic setting. Before I like dropped out. And my teacher was like through and through academic. Never wanted to go to like Print Austin or anything like that. It was very much like printmaking lives in an academic setting. And then the first time I went to Print Austin, I saw stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I didn't know it could look like this. I didn't know you could do print like this. And there was like a community and there was like these people and everyone knew each other. And it was like this fun thing. And I was like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Like this is, And then I got involved with Print Austin and now I'm too involved.
Now you're too involved.
Now there's no going back. So.
No, you can't stay away from the weird.
Yeah.
And that was in Corpus Christi?
Yeah, I was in Corpus at the time.
Yeah. And so you started school there and then didn't finish school there. Was part of it because it felt confining?
No, I was really arrogant. I was a really, really arrogant kid. I know, yeah, right. Right around the time you met me really young, actually. So
that's true. Like 6 years ago?
Yeah, probably, maybe even before that, because we were working together before you even had a physical gallery.
That's
space.
right. I had some small prints and shirts. Actually, you know, one of your prints was sale number one on our invoices.
Yes, I remember you emailed me because I had no idea who you were, and you just like hit me up on Instagram, and you were like, hey, I want to like get some prints. Yeah. I'm doing these pop-up things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like sure, why not? Like, I've got nothing going on. So
Ben, I want to know where your swagger comes from because you have a lot
really?
of it.
That's
yes,
funny.
you do.
I don't know. Maybe there's some arrogance lingering still. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I just have fun. Y'all are fun people though. This goes away if I'm not with the right people.
When you're at Corpus Christi University.
Yeah. Well, no, I have fun there. You know, and my professor, Jerry Kobaruvius, is one of the most talented people you've ever met in your life. But he has zero drive to be like publicly known or put together an exhibition. But he is so damn talented. But yeah, he just, for whatever reason, never cared to do that. But
It's not about the status for him.
No, and he just loved. He would genuinely is what you want in a professor.
Yeah.
He didn't care about the position or what university he was at or anything like that. He got his high from pouring into the next generation of artists and collaborating with people.
It's always wonderful if you have at least one teacher.
He was the one.
Who is like that.
Yeah. we had one like that, and he didn't get tenure because he wasn't out there hustling enough for his own shows. Did that happen to this guy, or was he doing shows and stuff? Or maybe they just didn't care?
He did it the way I think most I'm chewing a cookie. He does it the way most...
Bad podcast etiquette.
He did it the way I feel most professors do it now. Where... I hope this doesn't sound ugly, because I don't mean it to be ugly. But his shows weren't real shows. And his stuff, everything was done within the self-circling university. So he could fill the lines in the CV and be like, yeah, I had a show. I need to have 3... Maybe I need to participate in 5 shows a year. I did the faculty show. I did this other show at the university down the street. So he was able to check all the boxes with minimum work, because they've got those people. How on earth are they supposed to do it any other way? You've got them locked in like 8 committees. They've got to recruit. They've got to do all this stuff. It's impossible to put together an exhibition and do all this other stuff. I mean, some people do it. Joe Pena does it. He does an excellent job of it. But he's like the exception. Right, he's got a show going up at the Cheech, and he's like, right, he's killing it. Yeah. But for most people, I think that's why there's so many faculty shows, and there's so many, because it's crazy. Yeah. For you to have to do, you almost need to create your own opportunities.
Like, you need to be a full-time teacher, and you need to be a full-time artist, and you need to be out there building a name for yourself, and
somehow balance your home life and sanity.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, so that did not happen to him, because luckily they had that system in place for him, so he didn't have to like kill himself and lose his mind. Yeah. But that does suck that happened, because that's who you want to teach.
Totally.
The people who actually want to teach.
Yeah. Shout out Bill Thomas from University of Houston. He was fantastic, and he just really cared about the students, and he was really thoughtful about the way he would teach and the way he would critique and sharing his own work. Like, he would bring in like music, he would bring in reading, he would bring in all kinds of different materials for us to just like think about. Yeah. And he, I think showed more in his younger years, but like as he got older, he just focused more on teaching. Yeah. Cara Romero, a photographer who lives here in Santa Fe, worked with him at University of Houston also. That was kind of a cool little connection, but yeah, and I don't think he's teaching anymore. Yeah.
My Jerry Covarrubias guy, he's every year, I'm gonna retire. I hate these kids. I can't stand it anymore. No one wants to learn. But he loves it. So I'm always like, okay, Jerry. And then you get the 1 or 2 that really want to learn. Yeah. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna stay. Because that's all they need. Somebody like that. You just need one person. Yeah. And for a while, I was that one person. Even the way he corrected me helped me stay in art. I remember instead of getting mad or doing whatever, because I've always been really chatty. And I've always been like, oh, what are we doing? And I would like not work. And I remember he did this thing that I still include in my practice, where I was not working, and it had been like 2 days now that I wasn't working, which is a full week, because we only go to the class once, like Tuesday, Thursday. So he came in, and he was like, he kind of like grabbed me, and he was like, come with me. And we left. And we just went for a walk around campus. He left the class. Just me and him walking around campus. And he's talking, how's everything going? How are you? Yeah, we're having a good time. We're laughing. And then we circle back to the building. And he was like, so then he kind of like switched modes. And he looked at me and he was like, so when we go back in, what's the plan? What are you going to do? Like, what are we going to work on? What are you working on? What? And I do that now. And I really needed that, because it like clicked for me. And he was kind of like, get it all out. Let's talk. It's fun. I enjoy you. But that's a place of work. And so in my studio now, if I see myself getting too distracted or something, I stop what I'm doing. I go outside. I go for a walk. And maybe I make a phone call to somebody. We talk for a while. And then I kind of lock in as I go back to the studio. I'm like, okay, what's the plan when we get back in there? What are we going to do?
I love that.
Like, what are we tackling? Yeah. And there's so many things that he did. He doesn't even know he did, because I'll call him and tell him, like, I really like that. And he's writing it down. He's like, I didn't even know I did that. That was was it good? And I was like, that was great, dude. And like, yeah.
It sounds like that's about like really just clearly setting the intention of why you're present in the first place. Not just like, I'm going to do something, but like you are entering a space, you're setting the intention and really being clear about why you're there and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I find that for myself too. It's like I have to like consciously set that. There's times when I can kind of go on autopilot a little bit, but I usually kind of go off.
Yeah.
I love that too. It's like, it reminds me of the artist's pages in a way. Do you know this?
No.
At all? So
The Artist's Way?
Yeah, there's a book called The Artist's Way. And one of the exercises is called the morning pages. That's what it's called.
The morning pages.
The morning pages. And so you essentially just set a timer for however long. I think they say 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. And you just write. You write. It doesn't matter. You're not editing. It's just essentially getting all the garbage out. Yeah. And then once that's done, it's like then you sit down and you do your practice, whatever your practice is. And it's just, it's really needed. Yeah. And I'm thinking about my dance group too. Often when we get together and to practice, we're squirrely in the beginning. We're just super squirrely. And so then we just put on music and we lose it and we go crazy for like 10 or 15 minutes, just screaming and doing all kinds of gyrations. You know? It's like, get all the crazy out and then come and focus on what you're there to do. Right. Yeah.
The task assigned with a specific location is something that I need, or I'll get nothing done. I had to like hammer in my head, like, oh, my studio is like a holy place. And like this space is for this. So I can even find myself like occasionally like doom scrolling on my phone. And then I have to like stop and be like, that's not what this place is for. And I have to like put it down and go like, okay, I got to get back. I'm here to work. Like this place is for work. And it helps a lot having Rachel, because she'll stare at me and she's just like, what am I doing? Like, what do I need? What do you need me to do? Like, why am I...
Rachel is his assistant.
Rachel's my studio assistant. She's upstairs right now finishing the show. Shout out, Rachel.
So you probably couldn't have your studio at home.
Oh, never. No, I'd never get anything done. I don't know how people have their studios at home. In addition to being, having ADD, I also have 3 children. So if I was home and I had a studio, they would be popping in constantly. Like, can I eat this bread? Like, can I, I'm hungry. And they're never actually hungry.
ADD are your 3 children. ADD.
I have ADD. Yeah. That's, I wish I would have, I could go back and rename them. It's like the whole thing is just, it's too much to try to do at home. Like, I don't want to try to like, it's too much. It's, even if I had like, I'm just thinking about getting a dog,
Just add to the wildness.
Yeah.
Just add to the chaos there.
You know what would really get me is lunch. Like if I went and I made lunch for myself, because then I'm like, let me fire up this and, do that. And it's so much worse than like, I brought my lunch. It's in the microwave. Now I have it.
I get it completely.
I don't know how people.
It's like, oh, wait. I'm noticing that there's a lot of cat fur everywhere. I think I need to clean. Yes. Oh, I haven't. Laundry needs to be folded.
It's 9 o'clock at night now. Yeah. Yeah. I also think for like, I do a lot of studio visits and I don't want people coming to my house. I think there's that too. Like, I'm like, I don't want you to, come on in my house. And then I've got this museum curator in there and my daughter busts open the door and she's like, what's this? I'm like, that's what they do that. They'll like jump or throw something.
Yeah. I had someone recently say they put it, the best bested by the good. And it's kind of like all those things are good, taking care of the home domestic needs. Those are all good things. But then you have the best thing, right? Which is your artwork, which is your practice. And it gets bested by all of those other things encroaching upon them.
Yeah. And it's difficult for me too because I hate art. Like I hate printmaking. I'm so serious.
Like you hate other people?
No. I hate
what do you mean?
I hate the way art exists in like a late capitalist society. I hate that I'm like, okay,
bring it. Tell it like it is.
Let me like make what I know has the best likelihood of selling, not what I want to make. And let me make 4 of these, 5 of these, this and this.
Not what's happening in that metal show down in the basement.
Right. Yeah. That's over.
Yeah.
You know, because you reach a point where, you know, like for the longest time, my wife wasn't working. She was just a stay-at-home mom. And that was a lot of pressure on me. Because I feel like I should correct. I said just a stay-at-home mom, and that's not.
That's not good.
Yeah, that was
that's
a very
not good.
Good place to pause because your mic is falling.
Oh wow.
Sorry. Yeah, stay-at-home mom is a very important thing, and it's actually harder than what I do because I lose my mind when I'm over there. But
Yeah.
But no, like so, like in moments like that where I'm like, okay, Julie's not working. I need to sell a ridiculous amount of work. And I need to not only sell a ridiculous amount of work, but I can't hinge everything on like, we're going to make sales. So in between that, I have to do workshops. At the time, I was printing T-shirts and selling T-shirts and this little thing called Casa Press. So I was like stocking skate shops and like
you gotta
various
hustle.
apparel. I was doing as much as I could.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. But it, you know, everything that you're creating is under this lens of how marketable is this, and it's not like what do I want to create, you know, like how, you know, I want to explore color. But I can't explore at all. I can do zero exploring. Anytime I've tried to like venture out and explore, nobody wants it, and then I'm like, we're in financial trouble now. I did a big show called Clean Hands, and it was paintings. I spent a year making paintings, and I was having fun. I was really enjoying it, and I've always wanted to paint. And so I got this big solo show through the gallery that was at the time was representing my work in Fort Worth. And so they put this big show on. I was really happy with it, like the work that I had made. We hung it all, and it was a huge show. It was at their main gallery space and their other gallery space downtown, and they were like shuttling people back and forth. It was the biggest solo show they've ever given anyone. We sold one piece. And what's crazy is my collector base came out because it's the Metroplex.
Yeah.
That's where they're at.
Yeah.
None of them bought anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they were like, what is this?
Oh,
Wow.
It looks nothing like your work. I don't recognize it. It's very strange. And nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So
Or they just were kind of stunned, possibly.
Yeah.
They had an
Let's say
they
that.
had
I
an
stunned
idea.
them.
You
stunned
stunned
them.
them. You absolutely
They needed time to
shocked
process.
them. They did.
it was so great.
They did. They're like,
Stunned.
I don't know how to deal with this.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, what's worse is that we had like Maria Elena, who curated the triannual at El Museo del Barrio in New York, and she was the curator at the Pettis Museum of Art in Miami, and then was the curator at she's currently the curator at the Fort Worth Modern Art Museum. And so she came out to the show. Similar reaction.
Yeah.
Kind of looking around like,
This is not what I expected.
this is not your work. And
Who
I was
is this?
yeah, whose show is this?
Yeah.
Who's your friend? And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was kind of like, oh, so very poor reception, and one sale. That's a disaster because then I'm like, okay, now what am I gonna do? Am I gonna start selling shirts again? Am I gonna like, I gotta make that money up somewhere?
Yeah.
That lens of like creating under intense capitalism is very, I think honestly just annoying for like an artist.
Capitalism and 3 children.
Yeah, well, you got mouths to feed. You can't play around anymore.
No.
I shouldn't have been experimenting, but that's also not fair to me to be like, you can't experiment because, like, so I should have experimented when I had more savings in my account or something. Then it would have been okay.
Well, you had this residency recently at Aeromont.
Yeah, it was fun.
Were you able to play there?
No.
No.
I made the American Apprehension that's upstairs right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if there's a way where you can carve out a small amount of time.
Yeah.
To do that. Maybe it's just a couple hours a week.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this is my time to play. And don't worry about where it's being shown. Don't worry about what you're going to do with it, but just fuck around.
Yeah. You know what I've thought about? And what I feel like the obvious answer is, I should just go get a job, like an overnight job that pays like like my brother. My brother gigs. And he does like shows for like Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, stuff like that. And he is a light designer. So he designs like the programs and automates it and everything. Goes to work at like 9 at night. He's out at like 4 a.m., 2 a.m., paid very well, sleeps, has his whole day. And I've thought like I could go do that with him, and then I don't need to sell anything. I can, I can put it in the savings, and then I'm like, I'm going to make something that I really want to make that's strange. And if no one buys it, it's not a big deal. That way the sole income thing is not like, I don't live and die by the practice. Now I say that, I don't know if I could actually do it. I've had 2 jobs in my life ever. The one was when I was a teenager at Whataburger. And then the other was when I was briefly a tattoo artist for like 2 months. I was fired from both of those jobs. So I don't think I'm built for anything besides this.
It's trade-offs, right? Like, you've like on the one side, it's like you've got the freedom to do whatever you want, but then you're working a job and spending time in these things that you don't.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, like you have, the spaciousness and the freedom to make art, but you're kind of, you have to kind of like bow a little bit to the pressures of, what other people desire.
Yeah.
It's really a tricky thing, but I think you managed to balance it fairly well because, I mean, I would, say that you don't hate the work you make.
No, I love it.
You love it. And it may not be precisely the thing you want to make in that moment, but you're kind of balancing out this sort of like, what's communicating, what's hitting, like what are people responding to that is within myself. Like what you're doing is a facet of you, right? It is definitely 100% Ben Muñoz.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole.
Right.
And you're not able to share every bit of yourself.
Yeah.
But you're doing it, and I don't think that we'll see a huge change in the world in terms of like support for creativity and artists in the near future.
No.
So it's like the fact that like you can make a living doing this is pretty phenomenal. But I get it. I get the you want to make what you want to make.
I'm complaining about
an
stupid
idea.
things. Let me just acknowledge that this is dumb. Like for me to be like, I don't get to make the art.
It's not dumb.
It's not dumb.
My mom would call
It
these
is
uptown
actually
problems.
Uptown
problems. Like, oh my god, I got a flat on my Mercedes. Like, yeah, okay. I still get to make art. Like, I still get to. This is still my life.
I have an idea for you.
What's the idea?
Okay, so the idea is within your pieces to have maybe like a little hidey hole. So you have the
hidey hole.
A hidey hole. Okay.
You have the Ben Muñoz established,
and then
tried
Ben's
and true.
hole.
And then there's a Ben hole.
Yeah.
There's a Ben hole.
Yeah.
And you open it up, and within that is you like venturing off into never land,
right?
And exploring what you want. And each time
the hole gets bigger.
The hole gets bigger. Until
a wider berth.
Until it's the whole piece.
Yes.
And your audience.
And then I'm birthing out new work.
That's right. And your audience
I'm
is
dilating
with you
slowly.
all the way.
Yeah.
And it's not like abrupt. It's not. They don't
multiple
feel shocked.
people. Multiple people told me that like
about the hidey hole.
No, about the slow transition where they were like, it's not that the work was bad, like the Clean Hand show. They're like, it was just too much too soon.
Yeah.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Like it was too much. There's an art magazine in North Texas.
Most people don't like cold turkey. I'm just saying.
Who would? And so there's this art magazine in North Texas, and I'll say this in my defense that nobody liked the work. But at the end of the year, that magazine had an art critic, and he went out, and it was the yearly recap, and he said Ben Muñoz's Clean Hand show was the best show of the year.
There you go.
Whoa.
And he put that even though we had one sale. Now I will pair that with. There is the art critic's choice for the best show of the year, and then there's the people's choice, and the people chose someone else. But so I don't think the general public liked it.
That's great.
But
I have another idea for you.
What's the other idea?
Okay.
2 holes.
2 holes.
Fairly close, but separate.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
The other idea
2 different uses.
is you hire a handful of very attractive influencers to come to your show where you're unveiling your new work, and they just go around when someone's standing by your work and they go, oh my god, this this is the most fabulous thing I have seen all year long. And they're just
hot enough.
They're just hot enough
that you're like, the hot people like it. I want to like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And you have a hidey hole.
Yeah. Yeah. The hole is always present.
Yeah.
Miranda and I have this bit where we gauge people's hotness as it's relative to art fairs. So we'll be like, yeah, he's like not a 10, but he's like a Basel 1. Like, depending on where you are, that's how hot you are.
Wow.
And we will joke like that, like Miranda would try to get in to like Basel, and they'd be like, have you tried Scope? Like, I think it's so you'd love it. You'd love Scope. We're going to call a car for you. We're going to send you to Scope.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of, we just were all at the Brooklyn Fine Art Print Fair. Should we start the podcast?
We probably
should.
My name is Ben. I make art. I eat cookies. And I'm having a show here with Frank.
And I'm locked in the
on
basement with
podcast.
these
Yeah.
two people.
I'm here with Echo Amano.
The fair, it's interesting. So I've been going to them for a couple years, just sort of trying to find one that fits for the gallery, and none of them really have felt like a good fit. From the pretentiousness to the coldness to like people looking at me like I'm a nuisance when I'm walking by their booth to just the whole thing.
Not
just,
being hot enough, really.
maybe it's just I'm not hot
You're
enough.
just not hot
I'm
enough.
not a 10. I'm a
mean-
Basel 1.
Yeah.
I think you're the hottest.
Oh, how sweet. She thinks you're a Basel 10.
That's right.
Right in here.
Right in my hidey hole.
And, in our hidey holes and hearts, we're all 10s.
We're all
Yeah.
10s.
But we're Brooklyn Fine Art Print Fair 15.
Oh.
Woo, woo.
We were
But-
pretty hot there, I would like to say.
I agree.
There
But-
was, yeah.
I met with Luther last year, and he gave me a tour of the building, and it was like I could tell just from him, from the building, the way he described it, they had not done it before. This was the first year, and I knew from just talking to him, it was like, oh, that's the one. That's the one I want to be a part of, and it was pretty incredible. How did you enjoy it? What was your experience like there?
It was all right.
It was okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I should put this out into the world, but I don't really like New York in general.
Okay.
Okay. That's a dicey little statement right there.
Yeah, it's very... Everything about it is just so inconvenient. If you forget anything, it's literally the end of the world. And you're like, oh, God, where are we going to get binder clips? And it's like, now I have to take 3 trains and go over here, and it's a local spot, so they're out to lunch or they're closed because they felt sad today. And like now I have to like go, where am I going to go? It's so inconvenient. I enjoy my friends there, and I love Robert Blackburn, Manhattan Graphics. Like there's so many wonderful things and great people out there, but it's just so inconvenient. Getting to the fair, going home. We went to go visit a friend's studio, and it's in Midtown, and now I gotta walk through all these people that are like just not. They're taking these dumb selfies and all that, and I'm like, oh, please move. I've just did 3 days of a fair in a row. I can't see straight. I don't hear anything, and I don't care that you want to take this video of you walking slowly and turning around. I really need you to get out of my way, and.
Not to mention the parrots.
Yeah, oh God,
that are nibbling on your
great.
lips.
It's so I think I would enjoy. Like I enjoyed that fair. I think as much as I could.
That's totally fair. I mean, you're totally right. I mean, we intentionally booked a place that was a 10-minute walk. And on the contrary, like we had a frame mishap, and we just found people in the building that could help us out.
Yeah.
And so we got lucky there, but that's all very fair. I mean, New York is very inconvenient. The amount of energy that you have to spend to do anything there is pretty bonkers.
Herculean.
And not to mention just the expense financially.
Oh my God, everything is so expensive.
Yeah. But I found the fair itself, I thought was brilliant and really connected with the way that we want to connect with collectors and the way that we want to present our work. It really, I felt like filled a niche that I haven't seen anywhere else.
Right.
I haven't seen anything like it. Have you?
Let me think.
Because the print Austin, that
Totally different.
Yeah,
and it's a really elaborate print party.
It's great fun, and it's more, to me, feels like best suited for artists.
Right.
And I loved it. I loved the community there. But it's not quite for us in terms of showing as a gallery. It was hard to compete, with other artists. But this one, as one that kind of really positions itself as a fair for galleries, they did have a really beautiful section for artists. It just really worked for us.
Yeah. Do you know Calle Arte, Arlo and them, their art collective in Los Angeles?
I know of it, but I've never been or anything.
He did an art fair. There was a print fair. That was similar, called I think it was just called the East Los Angeles Print Fair. They did it at the Vincent Price Museum. Had a similar vibe. It wasn't as nice. In terms of the walls and everything.
Yeah.
But in terms of people who came out, sales and everything, the same.
Yeah.
But just in East LA. And he does a couple of those. And I really enjoyed that because it was for me, it was all the same of the good and trimmed off all of the bad, for the inconveniences. I mean, not because, they had a parking lot for everyone to park at, all the artists. There was really convenient, because it's LA, there's space everywhere,
right.
Yeah.
So it's not that they were doing something better than Luther and Ann were doing.
Sure.
It's just that it was in a different environment.
Different infrastructure.
So it made everything a lot less stressful.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah, he does
cool.
them. They're kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
They're not annual things by any means.
Okay.
East Side Print Fair, that's what it's called. East Side Print Fair.
I'd love to find a thing like that in LA.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Any excuse I can get out there. Just we're doing a show at the Cheech Museum in September. With Joe Pena, Marco Sanchez, a couple other people that y'all also work with. I can't think of them all off the top of my head right now, but
the sheer volume of people that came to that fair was kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, that's Saturday. I was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constant.
Yeah.
Just constant. I mean, every single day was packed.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we were on a really good row, too. That D row where everyone was just, boom. It's right in the middle.
Yeah.
Good funnel.
Yeah.
It was a good funnel. There was a lot of...
Right into the hole.
Just a lot of... It felt like everyone was so happy to be there and excited by the work.
Yeah.
And we got just such great feedback.
Yeah.
And saw so many fabulous dogs. And
so many little dogs.
So many little dogs.
And little babies. Did you notice the amount of babies
there were a lot
surprised
of babies.
me. I was people were just coming in with their babies everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's great. It's it felt alive.
Yeah,
and I think for me, most art fairs do not feel alive.
No, very robotic.
It feels robotic. It feels like makeup. It feels like plastic surgery. It feels just like a costume.
I love it.
Give it to me.
I love Miami.
Give it to me.
I hate it, but I love it. Every year, for Miami Art Week, I'm God, I don't want to go here. I hate going and kissing ass and pretending and then as soon as that plane lands, I'm let's go. Take me to those fairs.
Give me the ass.
Let's start social climbing.
I did not care for it at
Pull
all.
the ladder up.
I really liked the ink fair. I really enjoyed that one.
I loathe that fair.
Did you? Why?
Yes. I hate that printmaking is so excluded that they need to go and do their own thing. I wish.
Well, that's not nice, but
I wish it was just and it's not as nice. The lighting is not good. They're doing the best they can, but it sucks that we have to do the best we can. And that it always reminds me of our place in the art world because the art world is there that week, and it reminds me that we're pushed into the corner, and it's very upsetting to me.
Interesting.
Every time.
So I didn't really try to put it into context with everything else that was going on there. The things that I loved about it, I loved that each vendor had an entire hotel room separate from the other vendors because you were totally focused on what they were presenting, and you could actually go in there and have a conversation, and they wanted to talk to you
on a couch.
On a couch.
Yeah.
Whereas like, at an art fair, I'm like walking by 10 feet, there's somebody on a laptop giving me 2 milliseconds of eye contact and being like, oh, you're just a meat bag. And then going back to their email.
It's actually what they said to him.
And then you've got a billion booths that are right next to it. And it's like, just nobody cares.
Right.
But you're totally right. I mean, it's in this hotel, not close to anything.
Yeah.
And it's just printmaking off to the side. So I totally get that. But as a sort of concept, let's say take it out of Miami Art Week, I really liked it. I really liked it as a concept of presenting art in a sort of more kind of like, this is my living room. This is a sort of homey environment.
Yeah, it's very warm compared
Totally.
to the other fairs.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
What if you walked into the building, Ben, and the lights were strobing and people were just slinging ink everywhere?
I'd hate it more. I would be like, why are we doing this? Like, why can't we? There's so much. I know I just said all those really great things about Jerry Covarrubias, but I partially hold him responsible for, I'm so deep in this that there's no going back from printmaking for me.
He ruined you.
And
that walk actually ruined you.
Yeah, I wish he would have taken the time to pull me aside and been like, hey, this thing you're getting really into right now, there's no market for it. I wish he would have been like, you should paint. Like, you'd really make some good money if you could paint or sculpt. But I fell in love with this beautiful medium that is for the people.
I actually feel, I have a sense, Ben, that that printmaking is having a kind of I wouldn't even call it a renaissance, but that it's actually coming up and up, and that it's getting a lot more attention.
Yeah, well, the market sucks so bad, but people are always going to want to buy work. So I think you turn to more affordable works, and that happens to be print.
Well, and not just it's not even affordability. I actually think maybe not. Maybe younger people actually are gravitating towards it more. Okay. And I'm going to make a hypothesis. It's because of the world of like graphic design and tattoos, and just that we're living more in that kind of world where things are about line and the graphicness of it, and that younger people gravitate towards it more. Yeah.
I hope you're right, because that's good news. Yeah. I do think that print should be respected more, because if you look at like the really, really successful printmakers, right? Yeshua Close, Delita Martin, I'm trying to think, LaToya Hobbs, like your huge people that are like only doing museum shows now and winning MacArthur Genius Awards. None of them are making traditional prints anymore. They're printmakers, but they've all had to find a way to make unique art, right? Air quotes. And what they're doing is they're making their prints, and they're all collage artists. And it's almost like if you want to be a truly successful printmaker, you have to leave the tradition of printmaking.
The editions.
Yes. Yeah. You have to kind of like leave it all behind and kind of do whatever. You can continue to make lino cuts and then cut. You just got to cut them and collage with it. And that's kind of unfortunate, but it's a formula that you can't ignore. You can't ignore that all of the successful printmakers are not making prints in the traditional sense anymore. And it feels like that's what you have to do for the market. And again, it just goes back to like creating under capitalism. And it's like that really kind of...
And that desire for exclusivity.
Right. Yeah. People want, like, I want to be the only one that has this. Right. And there's ways to do that within traditional printmaking. You can make a varied edition. And I mean, not to make an argument that people have made forever, but none of them are really ever the same, even in a traditional edition. They're all different, you know, like none of the prints are the same. I got it from y'all, that Leopoldo Mendez print that I have, right? There's not, it's editioned, but I love looking at, there's on the the chessboard on the bottom, there's a little frosty area that didn't quite get all the ink. And when I look at that print, those are the areas I look at, because that's what makes it mine. And that's what makes it like very beautiful, is all the little mistakes. Right. And I almost want it to look like that versus like a perfect print. I want to be like, oh, look, like in the mustache in this guy.
Right, because that's when you can see the hand.
Yeah, so this was, you can tell it's later. And, like I love that, the embossing on it. Like, well, there was too much pressure on this one and all those beautiful little things. And so perhaps the answer is just educating people more on things like that, so you can look at it and appreciate it. But I don't know, it seems like the the faster route is to kind of just give people what they want and collage and do whatever, which is
if I can push back a little bit on that, I think a lot of that is dependent upon what your definition is of quote unquote successful printmaker. Mm-hmm. When you say all of the successful printmakers are this, I mean, you're talking about, one, hyper successful within the context of the established art world's blah.
Right.
And I think it bears asking yourself, do I need to fit into that particular story and context? Mm-hmm. It's like I always have felt like, do the work that works. Do the work that you want to do and find the audience that resonates with it. Mm-hmm. Not like, okay, what's this system that I need to fit myself into in order to be successful?
Yeah, how do I change myself?
Exactly. Right? And that is the only pathway. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a billion pathways that haven't been discovered yet.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point.
And that this one is one that exists, and that there's like whatever proven track record. Could you call that even a proven track record because it's so exclusive? Mm-hmm. I mean, that sounds awful. Yeah. It's like I don't know. I've always felt like it's always been a balancing act for me of like being committed to the idea that I'm going to like really plow through my own path. However, I also have to acknowledge that like you just mentioned, you have to acknowledge that this is, what's happening with these artists. Mm-hmm. I have to acknowledge the environment and the world that I live in, mm-hmm. whether that be looking at the relationship with capitalism, or that printmakers that have to turn into collage artists or whatever, mm-hmm. that there is this element of like, you have to communicate, you have to hit, you have to have a relationship, but you also can't ignore that you are singular. Mm-hmm. And that you're like this blinding shooting star going through the universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that dance is different for everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that it's a good exercise to throw away that paradigm and see what that feels like too.
Mm-hmm. Your way of thinking about this is so fascinating to me, because you're the only person that I've met that thinks like that, and it's so good. Because you had I don't even know if you remember this conversation, but I called you on the phone once because I was just feeling really like this. Mm-hmm. I was feeling like, I feel like this is hopeless, and there's this thing that I'm doing, but I'm not going to break through like this because no one breaks through like this. And you asked me, you were like, well, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to make art and sell it and pay my bills and not starve. And you were like, well, there's many ways to do that. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time anyone had even opened that conversation with me. Which you were like, there's lots of ways to do that. There's people that don't, they never do like the show with the MoMA or whatever, but they have thriving careers. Mm-hmm. And, they have like their market, and you could just be an artist that does, like you can get a lot of good grants, or you could, do like these different residency things. And you laid out all these like various paths that are successful in their own way. Mm-hmm. And you kind of like opened the door of like, it doesn't have to be that or nothing. Yeah. And I had never in my life had somebody like stop me and go, there's other things, and I've repeated what you said to me to several other people, but I think that it should be talked about more, because again, I've never heard anyone besides you like acknowledge that. Yeah. Go like, hey, success can look like a lot of things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that, maybe you never get that solo show at the Whitney. It doesn't mean that you're not successful. That's one route of this thing. Yeah. And there are like so many ways that are equally as difficult, that, you can like hang your hat on and be like, oh yeah, this is the road I've chosen.
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to comparison, right? It's like comparison is the thief of joy, that phrase. It's also like the thief of success, because you're looking at one, and sometimes those people who are successful, I think we were talking to somebody about this recently, but those people that are successful, they're having the same problems, as the people who don't feel like they're successful, like they're probably feeling unsuccessful too. Yeah. Right. So it's like, I think a lot of it just comes down to you defining like, what does that look like? What do you actually want from this?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then really embodying it. Like, okay, this is my success, not what the world tells me success is.
Yeah, that's really hard. Yeah.
I just so often that narrative, right, is so hypnotizing. We are so completely in its throes that rarely does a person even ask, do I even enjoy this? Is this even like, does this even fill me in any way? Or do I just feel compelled to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had a dear friend recently go to a class, a dance class, and hadn't done that particular kind of dancing in a very long time. She went to the class. It was super fast. She felt like it was just like stepping into kind of a company class, not an actual class. And she felt horrible at the end. And, you know, went through this whole thing. And I asked, I was like, did you even enjoy it?
Wow.
She's like, no, I didn't enjoy it. I don't even, and it's like, I don't even enjoy that world. It's like, why do we hold ourselves up to this, again, status thing that might not even actually be fulfilling?
Yeah.
You know, and it really like blocks, like Frank said, it blocks all the other possibilities that are available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like I can't celebrate the things that I'm doing because my eyes are set on those other things. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I did this thing, but like, it's nowhere near where I need to be. And I have so many things inside of me that, like a couple months ago, I had this like really huge mental breakdown and canceled a bunch of shows and had to like just be at home. And I didn't step foot in the studio for like 2 months and was going to therapy like twice a week. And, I've had to like kind of unpack a lot of stuff and then go like, yes, this mindset got me really far, but is it healthy carrying it forward? And I had this mentor who was fantastic, and I hold on to a lot of things that he said, but some of it I wonder like, is that good advice? And I remember this one time I was like really excited because I sold something, and he was really just trying to help me. But he was like, why are you so excited about selling work? And I was like, I don't know, it's just exciting to me. And he was like, that's your job, to sell work. And you shouldn't celebrate mediocre things. And I kind of internalized that. And I genuinely feel that now. Like, I don't get happy when I sell stuff. I get upset when I don't. Because I'm like, that's my job. That's the baseline. And there's so many things like that helped me move forward in my career. I don't know if it's healthy taking it further.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was like, that was what I needed for that season.
Right.
But I think maybe now I can let that go.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's totally some of those things that, you know, right, like you said, propel us forward to a certain place, and then we're ready to outgrow them, actually. And they become confining to wherever it is that we need to go next. Yeah. And holding on to them is just, it's kind of a cage.
It's funny because it's like having a really good friend that you like, you know, we were talking about this the other day, where you have like really good friends and then you just age differently. Yeah. And you're like, man, I think I need new friends. Where you're like, dude, like, I don't want to do acid with you tonight. Like, I don't want to just, like, it was fun, bro. And you keep doing you, but I think this is where we part. And I think that's the way it is with those specific life things that really helped me in my career and helped me when I, you know, couldn't land a show and couldn't do anything and no museums had acquired my work. And like, it was nothing. So I think those things helped me be like, again, circle back to the beginning, me saying how like crazy arrogant I was. And I think all of those things fed into that and helped me be like, no, I deserve to be in those museums. Yeah. And then, you know, you get in all the museums and everything, and then you have the big mental breakdown and you stop and you look and you go like, oh, you know, I'm just a human being. And that's why I was operating beyond my capacity. And all of these things and ideas that I had, I think it's time to like let those go and embrace new ideas. So I'm in a really fun place in my life right now where I'm trying to decide like what new things do I want to be my guiding force into the future? Yeah. And like, you know, I know what I've let go of, but what do I want to keep and what do I want to adopt in? So my therapist and I have a lot of fun conversations about that. What does that look like? Yeah. He calls it the new Ben. He had a really great, he does this really annoying thing where he tries to make everything about art because he knows I'm like, dude, you can just speak normal, bro. Like everything is like about art. But he had one that was really good and it pissed me off because I was like, oh, that was really good. And he was talking about art. And he was like, I was like, well, I got to do this and I got to do that. And I have to start booking shows again and this and that. And he was like, listen, if I may, imagine your life as a canvas. And I was like, gosh, shut up. And he was just like, so it's a canvas, right? And you have this painting and you did too much to it. You were doing too much in your life. You ruined the painting. And you're still trying to fix it. And the reality is you need to get rid of it and you need to get a new canvas. It's gone. That old life, that old you, it's gone. Let it go and start new.
That's good.
Think about the possibilities. What can we put on this new one? Stop trying to save the old one.
Yeah.
The old one was toxic and it led you here. So let it go and start over. Start something new. Now you can take elements and bring it in and stuff like that, but stop trying to go back to that and go, well, what did I do wrong? Maybe I can fix it. Like, no. It's bad. You did too much to it. And that made sense because you do that in real life. Sometimes there's a carving that's like, it's ruined. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. I don't try to save it. I'm like, let me get a new block.
Wait a second, Ben. You actually cut it up and you start collaging.
I will. Yeah.
You said, when you were talking about, when I was talking to you about, what do you want? The answer you gave, you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're making art. You're making a living. You're not starving. You're paying your bills. Like okay. The fact that you have work in any museum is pretty awesome.
That's true. I try to remind myself.
So it's like you're doing it. You're doing it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to see that, because I think about it and like if Ben that dropped out of art school and was like, I'm ready to do this, like if that kid could see what I've done, he would be like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But for me, because I have, it's again what you said, it's the comparison. Because I have so many friends that are more successful, all I do is see their success. And I'm just like, oh man, like.
And there's something that says, oh, if I was that successful, then I'd
finally be enough. Yeah.
I would finally be enough.
Yeah.
And also I don't know if this is the case for you, but there can also be, we can say like, I want this, this, and this. And then there's this like hidden thing that we want where we're like, I can't even speak to that because it is so vulnerable. I can't even say I want that, And so sometimes I feel like when we are doing all the things that we say we want and there's still this like, restlessness that's there, or this feeling of I'm searching. It's like there has been a denial of a deeper yearning or want that's like I can't even speak that out loud.
Right. Yeah.
Therapy with Ben Muñoz.
Yes, therapy with me.
This is great. I think it is great because I think this is something a lot of artists go through. Yeah. But I feel like we could probably talk for a long time, and I wanted to get to the work in this show.
Oh, right.
So we have an opening. We're recording this on the 3rd. The opening's tomorrow night. This will probably get released this week. So American Allegories is opening tomorrow night, 5 to 7 p.m. It has already opened from the perspective of the listener. You want to say a little bit about kind of like, it's been 5 years since we've done a podcast. It's been 3 years since we did a show.
Yeah.
Where has the work come to? You've got some pieces maybe that are still sort of in a style that I think people would recognize, right. And then you started working on these monotypes. Yeah. You want to talk about the monotypes a little bit?
That's really new for me because it's the first time I've ever done and shown those ever. So yeah, that's really exciting. They're of my daughter's dresses, and they're, I think, lighter is the word I would use. Maybe they're more cheerful, I think, than the other work. And And I like the position of them because they're across staring at American apprehension, which is about the like societal pressures and struggles of pursuing the American dream in like late stage capitalism with like a family and like all the pressures and things that you feel like you need to get. But across from the dresses of my daughter, kind of like this really nice back and forth of like, this is why you're doing this thing. I feel like my work can get to a point where it just feels like I'm complaining about things, and I never want it to come across like that. So including those dresses and talking about my daughters and their beautiful life and this hopeful future. And I don't know, just like how you can see yourself in them and you can watch them grow and you can watch them change, and just holding space in that exhibition that's talking about all the problems, like holding space for something beautiful that you want to celebrate, I think is something that I wanted to explore and that I felt was really important. So I'm glad that I'm able to do that and like put those in there.
Yeah.
And like, I like the way that the work interacts. And I hope other people like the way it interacts.
Yeah.
So I have those are like monoprints that are really focused on my daughters, but they're not like portraits of them. They're more abstract in the idea of, it's the idea of them and that love and hope and stuff. So hopefully everybody can kind of like see that in their own lives. And then I have like Vacated and American Apprehension, which this is like the first time I think I've ever included Vacated in a show, which we made like the end of 2024. And then this is the first show that I've ever had American Apprehension in. We showed it in the fair, but this is the first show because we made it and then it went straight to the fair. So this is the first time that it's going to hang anywhere longer than like 48 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to show those two. So yeah, I'm just kind of like exploring a lot of right now things, a lot of like just thought processes and putting it down, which is a little different from what I was doing before, because the last year I was focusing a lot on the movement of people, like the history of the movement in this like push and pull relationship that the U.S. has with Mexico. And, I did like contract labor, that piece. And there's like a different piece for every movement of people. So you have like contract labor migration, temporary labor migration, border commuter migration. Of course, you have illegal migration, legal immigration. And so you kind of tell the story and the history of there and how the U.S. sort of has a very long history of relaxing border laws whenever they have a need for cheap labor, and then raising them up and creating all these stone walls whenever that labor, the need for cheap labor disappears. And how they implement all these things like, the head tax and Chinese Exclusion Act, literacy test, things like that, because they're like, well, there's all these problems. Then the moment they have need for cheap labor, they get rid of all that. And it's like, well, what about those problems? Like, aren't those problems still there? And they don't matter anymore. And it's because they were never problems to begin with. And, a lot of those policies are just rooted in racism, honestly. So the history kind of shows that they were never issues, and this let go, open up, like close and open, shut, and so I was focusing on that for a really long time. Still kind of am finishing that series, but I took a bit of a break from it to kind of just talk about other issues that I see in my lifetime. Not that those things aren't happening anymore, but in my lifetime, like gentrification and like, societal pressures and things like that. And I really like exploring those. And then I'm also kind of just also carving things that I want to carve, making imagery that I think is fun and that I've always wanted to carve. I've always wanted to put a mandrel in a woodcut, which is in American Apprehension. I just love the way they look. They're like, but I didn't want to force it in one that wasn't going to happen. And I wanted to kind of talk about this anxiety and pressure and stuff, and like a literal monkey on your back kind of was like, oh, I can finally use it. And so I was so excited, and I was like, it makes sense. I had tried to force it a couple of times and it just wasn't working. So I had to bail in it constantly. So I'm really excited I finally got to make it, and I put it in there, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is a banger.
It is quite a monkey.
I carved that at Aramont in 7 days.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun, and then I printed it by hand. Me and Rachel.
Wow.
In the studio. I made 3 of them because we did it by hand. I've been doing a lot of smaller editions recently, just because I don't know. I just want to make smaller editions. So I don't know what I'm doing, short and long. But you should come see the show if it's up. I think it's a beautiful show, and I think that you'd get a lot out of it. I hope that you get a lot out of it. I've always wanted to make work that resonated with like the people, and so yeah, I hope that it does that. I think that's all I really want out of the show is for people to come and be like, this was made for me.
Yeah.
Like I resonate with this and I get a lot out of it, which I feel like can be really difficult to do when you make like quote unquote like Chicano art. It tends to be like for a Chicano base. But I think with this show, I really wanted, obviously there's still a lot of Chicano elements in it, but I wanted it to be like easily digestible for everybody. So I don't know if you've noticed, but there's very little Spanish in these. There is some, but it's not like, Heed, where the huge thing is all in Spanish and stuff like that. So trying to use imagery that is familiar with everybody because it's work about America. Not that there's not all languages spoken in America, but kind of. So there is some smaller Spanish elements in there, and yeah, I don't know. I just hope that people like it and they come to see it. And they take lots of pictures and they buy stuff, and maybe some hot people will come in and be like, "Wow, this is nice." Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and glad you're here with us again.
Yes.
And
so much time together recently.
I know.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and just that we've been able to, have a relationship for the past 5-6 years.
Yes.
And, it's cool to think about, that you were talking about the Casa Press. I mean, we used to carry those shirts.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
It's been such a joy to kind of work together all this time.
Yeah, it is very surreal for me to be in a place where I was the first sale, and like I have known you for like almost the whole journey.
Yeah.
Which is really fun because any other gallery that I work with or something, I'm coming in on year 10 or year 40 or something. So it is really cool to like see the pop-ups and then Canyon and then this big space and everything like that, and kind of be like, wow, like, and you're really like, a go-getter. And I don't think you remember this at all, but the first time we did a show together on Canyon, we were loading in the car. And I was just we were still kind of feeling each other out, I think, and I asked you like what your 5-year plan was. And you told me what your 5-year plan was, and you had it done in 2 years. And you were like, I'm going to get like this other space, and I'm going to like, this and that. And you had all this, and it was done in like 2 years. And I was like, this guy is really on it. Like, that's pretty incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Great. Well, all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
For sure. Thanks for the cookie.